Hi, Chastity.
Hey, honey, you were just calling me, huh?
Yeah, I was just telling you I wasn't connected for some reason.
You were just in a waiting room. So I think I see a few more people coming in, and then we'll get started. All right, I'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us again today for another virtual Smart Talk for Women with our amazing facilitator, Ms. Nancy Prophet. We're super excited that you can join us today. We hope you had a wonderful but rainy Memorial Day. Before we get started, I'm going to turn it over to our soon departing Sophia Lopez to go over some Zoom housekeeping. Sophia?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Smart Talk. I'm Sophia. I'm the events administrator here at the Chamber. So we have a little bit of a smaller group today. So we're actually going to do intros. So we'll go around the room, and I believe Nancy will probably call out your name. And you can just unmute yourself, or I'll unmute you if you're having issues with that. And then we're also going to be launching some polls today. They're all anonymous, so please feel free to answer, and we'll share the results with everyone. And then usually at Smart Talk, you know, it's a very interactive thing. So I'm sure if you just virtually raise your hand, we'll call on you to kind of share your thoughts. So if you go to the participants button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you can just click the, virtual raise hand. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Sophia. So now it is my pleasure to introduce Nancy Prophet. She is with Profit Management Solutions and is a certified business coach firm dedicated to enhancing the management and leadership capabilities of individuals and corporate teams. They help business develop plans and identify processes which increase efficiency and sustain positive employee morale while ensuring their people develop the leadership and management skills to implement the plan. She is also an amazing chamber friend of ours and an amazing speaker, leader, and everything. We just love Nancy. So we're super happy that she does this with us virtually and we can continue with this program. So without further ado, Ms. Nancy Prophet.
Why, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Chastity, thank you so much. And welcome after a rainy, as you say, Memorial Day weekend. I hope everybody found time to Netflix themselves or binge watch or read something they really enjoyed. That being said, we're back in the swing of things this week. As I see the screen, I see people's names. And so that will be my, I'll call you out by name for a question in a minute. I do have one person that's on with a phone number of 561-368-5200, and I don't know who that is, so I don't want to be rude and say, hey, 5200, speak up. But that being said, who is that, 5200?
Natasha from Wyndham Boca.
Natasha, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Now that I have your name, I'll not be rude and call you 5200 because it seems like everything virtual is going more technology driven. So we will be numbers sometime soon, it seems. That being said, I am Nancy Prophet and I'm honored to facilitate Smart Talk for Women. I thought today's topic, what are those leadership traits we need as we lead our business through this COVID-19 crisis and through the pandemic? Issues at hand, and how do we get back in the flow of work, and what does it take as a leader to run our businesses, to run our teams, to look at what we need to do in our community. And so with that, as we do with most Smart Talk functions, we start out, if we were live at a luncheon, we'd go around the room and introduce ourselves. So that's what I'd like to ask us to do today, and in order to do this in a semi non-chaotic way, I'll call your name, and here's a question. I'd like you to tell us your name. Tell us the name of your company, not a 30-second commercial, your name, the name of your company, and then I'd like you to answer this question succinctly. What's the most positive outcome you've had because of this pandemic? It could be business or personal, however you'd like to share. What's the most positive outcome you've had because of the crisis? Everybody good with the question? Everybody good? On board? I love that shaking of the heads. All right. That being said, let's move right on. We will move to Nancy Walsh. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. Who are you? What do you do?
Good afternoon, Nancy and everyone else. I'm Nancy Walsh. I'm with N. Walsh Designs. And what I got out of this period of time is it actually made me stay very, very focused on two areas. One is I started renovations in my home on February 1st. So I should be done with everything by tomorrow. So I am thrilled with that. And the other thing is I am co-chairing Woman Volunteer of the Year, which is an event that's put on by the Junior League of Boca Raton. We normally have about 1,000 people that come to this luncheon to honor women that volunteer in the community. So we have been doing all kinds of research on how we will be able to pull this off, maybe even virtually. We're not even sure yet. So it's really allowed me to stay very, very focused.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing. As we come through, hey, Casey Robbins, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. So I work for New York Life. I'm Casey Robbins. And for me, I would say the best outcome so far has been kind of giving me the excuse or the reason to connect with people that I don't normally talk to. So my family's been having Zoom calls every single week with extended family in Pennsylvania and California. And that's also translated to business too, just giving me a reason to reach out to people.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing. Who do we have next? Renata Urban. Good morning. You're on mute. If you can unmute, there you go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Renata Urban. My business is Urban Training and Services. And the most positive outcome for me as a trainer was that I was able to convince a lot of people to do online training more than ever, because now I had a very good reason. It's like, no, I'm sorry, we can't meet in person, but we can meet online. And I think I've converted some people who've been highly resistant to online training to actually see the beauty of it and come to the conclusion it's not that bad after all, so that we might actually continue with certain groups after this is all over, because some people now see the advantage of it. And it's not just the business side, it's also the personal side. I have a lot of friends who live in Europe, and they kind of wait until I come there once a year, and then we get together in person. And I said, well, why don't we Zoom? I have the Zoom account now. Why don't we use it? And they're like, I don't know. It's, yeah. And then we did. And so all of a sudden they're kind of really happy to do it. And they keep asking me to send them the link for the next Zoom meeting so that the friends can get together. So I think this whole online thing has had a very positive impact on my personal and professional life.
Excellent. Thank you. Diane, how in the world are you? It's been a while.
Nancy, always great to see you. Always great. I'm Diane Diamantis. I operate a nonprofit called Dollars for Tick Scholars. I'm also a marketing person. I would say that the pandemic has brought an opportunity to repaint bedrooms, an opportunity to take walks daily with my spouse, except in this rain. And as far as business goes, that's difficult to say. We've done a lot of online communication already for the charity, so that's not something new for me, but it has given me the opportunity to interact with students. And because students are unable to provide scholarship information because they had trouble getting information from their schools, we were able to react and make things easier for them as part of our scholarship program. So we were able to kind of reformat how we were doing some things. And so I think the pandemic inspires a little creativity.
You betcha. Thank you for sharing. Maureen Shea, did you get that water bottle out? You're on mute. Can you unmute? There you go. Good morning.
Good morning. How is everybody?
We can hardly hear you. Can you speak a little louder?
Yes, let me make it louder. There we go. Better?
Better. Thank you.
Good, good. So there's been lots of opportunities during the last 2.5 months. One I would say is that we're an outplacement company and we run all of Florida and the Caribbean, and we've done it all virtually. And so we've been delighted that we've had so many connections around the state as a result of all the virtual delivery that we're doing. So that's been a really good outcome.
Excellent.
And I would echo what some of the other ladies have said, that it's also given us opportunities personally to connect with folks that we haven't spoken to in a while, or we don't have time to. So it's been a really nice opportunity to become a little bit more intimate, far away friends that we don't see that much.
Excellent. Excellent. You could just take your volume just a little bit higher. I think that would help. I saw a lot of people reaching for their volume. Hey, Mike Wolfson, if you're with us, can you unmute? Share with us who you are, what you do, and what's something you're taking away, positive outcome? Mike, we can't hear you. If you're speaking, we cannot hear you at this time. Might be a technical glitch. I know you work for an IT company, so no telling what that could be. That being said, Mike, we can't hear you. We're going to come back to you. How's that? All right, let's Nancy Coleman. What's cooking down there?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Coleman. I'm a lawyer. The name of my firm is Barrett's and Coleman. And I think the biggest and greatest takeaway I have from this whole pandemic is flexibility. I am an extremely regimented person, had to get up every morning, exercise from like 6 to 7:30 in the morning, be at work by a certain hour, leave work at a certain hour. And that all went out the window, and it's been fabulous. So,
good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Flexibility is the new norm. You betcha.
Yeah. And I'm used to it now, and I like it. And I even told my business partner that, you know what, I might not be here at 9 a.m. or 8:30 every morning. I might be here at 10:30 because I'm going to get up a little later and I'm going to do my exercise first. And I've really enjoyed it, actually.
You betcha. You don't get paid for attendance. You get paid for results, as they say. So good for you. Excellent. Margie, how are you today?
Good, Nancy. Good to see everyone. How has this changed my life? Well, I've never worked from remotely before, which I have been doing now since March 16th, and I've enjoyed many aspects of it. I will say the resort started getting ready for our reopening from the moment we closed down. Most hotels will start reopening today. We will reopen to the general public on Monday, June 1st. So once you start to get ready for 24 hours, 365 days, there's a lot to do. And we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Welcome back. We look forward to having a simple teeny in your bar there as soon as you open.
Anytime.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Ross, how are you today? Everything logo. I like that sign you have in the back. Well done, kiddo. Well done.
Thanks. So yeah, I'm Roz at Everything Logo, and I would have to say I was glad that I was able to pivot quite quickly. Our industry picked up where we were able to provide some of the necessary PPE products and help my clients get that hand sanitizer and face masks that they needed right away, and felt good about that and continue to do more of that. But also my yard's been very happy that I've had more time, and my dog has had more walks. So that's all good.
Yeah, good for you. That's great. That's great. Cindy Martin, how are you today? You need to unmute.
Good morning, everyone. I work for Comerica Bank. I would say one of the best things about what happened is just getting to spend more time with my family. With the hustle and bustle of life, it seems like you're always going from tutoring to one activity to the next. So we've been playing board games and just truly enjoying our time together.
Cool. Excellent. Welcome aboard. Hey, Karen McKinley, how are you today? You got to unmute. Unmute.
Yeah.
Unmute. There we go.
Hi. Yes, so I think the biggest thing for us is we've always had a lot of I'm Karen McKinley with the Sharon Cannon Group with Keller Williams Realty, and we've always done our business somewhat virtually, and yet this has definitely, had us amp up our technology and our use of it and our adoption of it by our clients, and that's been one blessing that has always been available to us, and yet taking it to the next level has been great. Having that more worldwide acceptance of it, I think is great. And I think on the personal level, I would say definitely, I've always had a home office, and yet having that be more efficient and having more time to, I can step out of my garden for a few minutes for a break. So having that a little bit of time, downtime in between, I think has been great to have that real intense attention and then have a little break in between. So my garden is also my big thing. So my garden is very happy that I've been out there.
Excellent. This rain hasn't hurt one bit, has it?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You betcha. Hey, John Solik, how are you? Unmute. Let's know a little about you.
Good morning, everybody. John Salick with Priority Payment Systems, Pompano Beach. Good morning. I would say the two big things that happened for me. One, I had a 30-year-old bicycle and I bought a brand new one. So I was one of the people that ran out and bought a brand new bicycle. And I've been getting at least 10 miles in almost every day, sometimes 20 or 30. So I've been getting my exercise and my fresh air. And through a couple of the charity organizations that I'm involved in, obviously everything came to a screeching halt. And in trying to keep the funds flowing, keep our name out there, we did 2 raffles virtually through social media with having people Venmo and Zelle money to pay for it. And we completed our amount of tickets that we wanted to sell, 300 for one, 200 for the other, raised some money, got some awareness, and put some nice gifts in people's hands. So that was a real good thing.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome aboard to Smart Talk for Women, by the way. We appreciate you being here. Indeed. Let's see. Let me get back on. I don't want to miss anybody here. Now we're coming. Hey, Judy Isaacson. Elias, how are you?
Well, thank you. Hi, I'm Judy Elias. I am the founder of Heroes to Heroes Foundation. And we did a very interesting pivot. We work with veterans who have attempted suicide. So we're now doing Zoom meetings with our veterans 5 days a week. Yesterday, we had a chat for veterans who are having a rough day. And that's been just an amazing, amazing change. And we're going to continue it. And the veterans we serve are so thrilled to be able to see each other and have these, have people around and see the people that are there for them.
You bet. Excellent. Thank you. Hey, Sue Wandersman, how are you today? Unmute, please. There we go.
Fine. Thank you for asking. Great to see you and all the people from the chamber. I do business development and I'm helping the Siegel Law Group grow. We do estate planning and elder law. And during the coronavirus sabbatical, we have been offering free healthcare surrogate designations for frontline workers and doing quite a bit in terms of virtual gatherings like this, where we're keeping in touch with our COIs and hoping that everybody keeps us top of mind. It's been a little slow, but now we're back in the office 2 weeks and getting caught up on all of the signatures that people need to get their paperwork completed.
Cool. Excellent. Well, stay safe.
Thank you.
Excellent. Hey, Teresa, how are you today? You're muted.
Hi. Yes. Hi. How are you, everybody? I work with Martin Pierre at Modern Etiquette Leadership Academy. And we just have been brainstorming. We have a lot of things coming on, a lot of virtual classes related to the ethics. And then we also have a program with social distance. Also, we're coming with some PPE, different ideas, and to, just get us all together. It was a challenge, but we're still working on that. And I'm here with Martin Pierre. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Welcome aboard. Hi, Beth. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Good afternoon. I'm Beth Wagmeister. I'm an independent contractor with the WAG Group that provides ADA accommodations, American with Disability Act accommodations, and innovations and policies and procedures. I currently are contracting work with the City of Boynton Beach as their inclusion outreach coordinator. So the pandemic has given us an opportunity to have conversations with businesses about expanding their client base, post pandemic, where we could have more inclusive businesses and understand what to do and how to be able to accommodate and have access for people under the ADA. My specialty is with the deaf community. So I'm an interpreter, a teacher, the list is endless of all the things. I'm a big pain in the butt about deaf people in our community, but it's been given us an opportunity to have technology-based conversations about inclusion with access for interpreters to the deaf so they could have equal access.
Excellent, cool. Lynn, how are you today? Who are you and what opportunities have availed themselves for you?
Well, thank you, Nancy, for being here and hosting this, and thank you for asking. It's great to see everybody. My name is Lynn Lassell. My company name is It's Why, and I'm the identity coach. And the beautiful thing about this negative occurrence for me has been the enormous amount of opportunities that I think may have been taken for granted because they've always been there, but now we're all reaching for them. So I'm segueing into the digital world, which is not something I was mostly upfront and personal with people. I am meeting so many more people now that I actually would not have had the ability to reach because of distance. And I'm making some really amazing connections. So I think that I'm just really, really tickled about, in a way, being pushed into taking advantage of opportunities I might not have done so quickly and so much of had this not happened.
Cool. Excellent. Excellent. Natasha, are you with us? Share with us who are you and what opportunities have come about for you? What positive outcomes?
Of course, my name is Natasha Fedosenko. I work at the Wyndham in Boca Raton, and I'm a sales manager. One opportunity was I was let go for a little bit when the hotel was closed, but I have been back working with them for 4 weeks, which is exciting. So.
Oh, that's huge. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank
you. It's good to have you on. I'm making notes as to what everybody's saying. If you're wondering why I keep looking down and away, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I want to take notes to refer back to. That being said, did we lose Mike Wolfson? I guess we did. I don't see him. Does anybody else see him on the screen anywhere? We must have lost him then. That being said, we'll move forward. Chastity, you thought I would skip you, but I won't. So tell us, what do you think is an positive outcome for you with all of this stuff?
I still have a job.
Yeah.
That's my positive outcome. Being an events person in the time of Corona is not cool for event professionals. We're kind of in the same world with the hotels, and the whole hospitality industry is kind of like drowning a little bit. Trying to figure out how to pivot as much as we can to virtual. So I just think that, positive outcome is that I still had a job through our quarantine, and now moving slowly out of our quarantine, I have a job. So that to me is positive and a blessing.
Cool. Excellent. Thanks for sharing. Allison, share with us, my friend.
I would be happy to. So I'm Allison Muccio, and I am with the Boca Chamber. And I would say the best thing for me that came out of this was the staff has been making wellness calls to all of our members. We have 1,700 members, and every single one of them should have been called or emailed. And it was getting to talk with people that I've either never spoken to before or haven't spoken to in a long time. And just that touch, I think, was amazing. That's on the business front. On the personal front, being able to spend time with my family and my animals. I don't know how my animals are going to do when I go back to work. But that's been really nice too. And kind of what Chastity said, I'm just happy to have a job and still be working for the chamber.
You betcha. You betcha. Thank you for sharing. Sophia, share with us what opportunities or positive outcomes have come about for you at this time.
Hi, everyone. Sophia. I'm the events administrator here at the Chamber. I think the biggest positive was I've actually seen my family more now than I have because we all live so far away. And even though we should have been talking on the phone and FaceTiming before, since this has hit, it's like we're very adamant about Zooming and doing family Zooms, you know, at least like once every 2 weeks. So that's the biggest positive.
Cool. Excellent. Would you like to share your announcement as long as you're here?
Sure.
Wait, drum roll, please. Hit it.
My last day with the Chamber will be Friday, so this Friday, because I decided to do the process of joining the Navy as an officer. So I actually take my test in 2 weeks, and then I submit my application and get approved and the whole shebang. So
how about a thumbs up for Sophia? How about a thumbs up? Yeah, baby. Awesome. Congratulations. We're so incredibly proud of you, and you will be so missed. You have been certainly a primary piece for the Chamber to have been so successful over these last 3 months. You are the virtual star. I know I've called you a number of times just to find out how do I do this, that, or the other thing. And so you definitely will be missed, and we wish you all the best. And let me start by saying thank you for your service. I know you'll be absolutely remarkable, and we're very proud of you. So that being said, that is certainly a leadership shift for Sophia and for all of us. And that's why I thought today's theme or our conversation today is looking at, gosh, as we struggle our way back into how do we make our businesses be the best they can be for our clients? How do we be the best we can be for our staff, for our community, for each other? It takes that leadership piece. And I'm often reminded of quotes, you know, as a leadership coach, quotes that people have said that leadership has very little to do with what you say. It has little to do with how many degrees you have or how many stripes you have, Sophia, on your shoulders. It has to do with everything in your actions. What do we do as a leader, a self-leader first, so that we can lead in our business? And that's whether we have employees or whether we have peers, whether we have we all have clients, and so we're a leader to someone somewhere. And knowing that, I thought it would be interesting to really talk about what makes a great leader, especially as we pivot out of this crisis slowly, albeit and albeit differently. What are those characteristics that make us successful? I have my business coach wrote a neat book called 10.5 Reasons Even Successful People May Fail. And interestingly enough, as you go through that, these are things we talk about or think about all the time, but do we implement them? I'm not sharing any of them with you now because we're going to be asking you those very particular questions. So Sophia, could you pop up our first poll question for the team? And what do you consider to be the most important trait a leader must have during this crisis? Determination, open-minded, adaptability. Now, I know there could be a plethora of other things, but go ahead and take that poll and let us know how it turns out.
Just waiting on a couple more to answer.
Everybody good? And let's
everyone see the results.
Here are, and isn't it interesting? The most predominant answer was adaptability. And as I looked through my notes that all of you gave as your answers of what are some positive outcomes, that flexibility, that adaptability, that being able to pivot. Hey, I've changed the way I think about things. I'll take a walk. I'll repaint a bedroom. And as Nancy Coleman says, I'll remain flexible in there. What are some of the things you all are doing with customers that show that you are actually adaptable? What are you doing for your customers? Anybody want to join in and adapt, improvise, and overcome? You're absolutely right, John. I think that's the key. Talk a little bit more about that. What are you doing specifically with your customers, John?
Well, on Sophia's thing, welcome to the Navy. I'm a former Marine, so we work together well. And that's where the adapt, improvise, overcome comes from. And it was actually my Marine Corps League meeting that we had the 2 raffles, that we were raising money and keeping our awareness out there and still supporting the groups that we were doing. So we basically just got together on a Zoom meeting just to say, hey, because we haven't seen each other, we haven't spoken, let's get together. And through the collaboration, brainstorming of that meeting, it's like, hey, we have these 2 events that got canceled and we have all these raffle prizes. Why don't we find a way to do it virtually and make it happen? And it just snowballed from there, and everyone jumped on board and started posting it all over Facebook and using the technology of Zelle and Venmo. And there was a couple of troglodytes that actually wanted to mail checks in, and we took them, but most people paid through Venmo and Zelle. And it just, it exploded, and we raised over $5,000 for our charity in just a few short weeks time, which is really good.
Excellent. That's being adaptable. That's moving with the tide, if you will. Who else? What have you done differently with your clients that has shifted for you and your clients? Yes, Casey. If there would say come down, Nancy Coleman. I'm trying to watch hands.
I would say for me, just being more flexible for my clients. Normally pre-COVID, I had some clear times where I wanted to shut business off, but I know a lot of people at home are going through trying to work while also trying to take care of children and trying to balance a lot. So I've opened up my schedule to be as flexible as I possibly can for them.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah, you bet. Nancy, I believe you had your hand raised. Unmute.
So we've actually, we've taught a lot of clients how to use Zoom by walking them through it. So in my business, I do a lot of transactional corporate and real estate work, which requires usually in-person signing, in-person notarization. And we've been able to still accommodate closings, almost business as usual with no contact, by saying to clients, stay in your own home. We're going to email you a document. You can print it out. We're all going to get on a Zoom call with 2 witnesses and a notary. We'll watch you sign. You'll hold up the document. And then what we've had them do is drop them off. We have like a drop box outside my office, and they drop the documents off. Someone who will be in my office will come take it, notarize it, and then we file everything electronically online anyway. But the clients have been super appreciative that we found ways to accommodate them so they don't have to actually physically come into an office and be in contact with other people.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Karen, did you have something you were going to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't, again, it's not so different from the way we've operated it before, and yet I feel like there's a couple of things that have changed. So we are definitely making it possible for people to view properties virtually by doing like an extra step up in as far as our presentation. So there's not only the virtual tours, which have been out there forever, and yet there's also the Matterport tour, which is a little bit more explicit for people being able to walk through a property, virtually walk through a property and view it that way. And also we're doing FaceTime tours where someone is on the property and be able to answer questions. So I think we're taking that technology to the next level, as I mentioned before. I think the bigger thing though probably is just being really patient with everybody and working through their fears. So everyone's got big question marks, and yet if their big why is they are really intending on making a move, then we're doing everything we can to help them feel comfortable with the situation and understand the pros and the cons of where we are in the market. And there's really so many great advantages right now for people to make a move. And if they're wanting to do that, we're helping them, to understand their options and get past their fears. So that's, we've always been more of the consultative mindset anyway, and yet we're just taking that to another level.
Excellent. Excellent. My nephew and his wife just bought a home in North Carolina, sight unseen, through the virtual tour, and my niece had them measure the closet, the master closet, with her on Zoom so she could see the actual measurements to make sure that this was going to be an adequate closet. And it was all done. They bought a house sight unseen, done. They took pictures of the back 100 acres that they have, and but it was very interesting. And actually their real estate agent was there to ensure that the new appliances were put in. My niece and nephew were not there when it was done. And then when everything was all settled, they had the house, whatever you do to a house to make sure that is virus safe. She happens to be a nurse practitioner and is very, very, very astute and sensitive to what's happening with the virus. And we're not going to go see her for 2 years, she tells us. And, you know, it's one of those things, but it's interesting how, and even in real estate, they bought a beautiful home with lots of acreage and sight unseen with no hiccups. So congratulations to you for making that happen for other families as well. Who else has figured out what it is that they've had to adapt and how their clients are reacting to this new way of doing business? Yeah, Roz.
Well, because I'm helping clients strategize about how to reach their customers and clients in their homes in different ways by still doing direct mail pieces and such. I mean, there's different ways of reaching them rather than when you can't in person. And it could be something for a company's employees, the work at home type information and imprinted items for that company that they want to help them feel comfortable at home. And so been helping strategize now and for the future.
Cool, excellent. Anybody else? I'm watching. If you unmute, then I know you're ready with an answer. And so I don't see anybody else with a hand raised, but I would like to just think about what you all have said at this point. We're doing things, we're getting through on our business is happening one way or another. As we look forward to the next 6, 12, 18 months, while it may be somewhat unknown, as a leader, we've got to think about, gosh, what will I do differently? How might I do it differently? And what is it that my business needs to do? What do I need to do possibly internally in my business? We talked a little bit, what are you doing with your customers? What do you think you need to do internally in your business? And Sophia, if you could put up the second poll question. And this poll question really is talking about where's your focus as a business owner or a leader, a manager in your business? Where's your focus in preparing your business for a post-COVID-19 world? Is it developing that new business plan? Because I can assure you what you plan to do with your business 4 months ago is not going to be what we're doing moving on, without a doubt. Is it spending more time in marketing dollars, creating a new product or service, or maybe looking internally at new processes and systems? Again, this is looking inside. The first question was, what are you kind of doing outside right now to keep the ship upright? But where's your focus in preparing for a post-COVID world? Everybody go ahead and answer that. Wow, very interesting. Very interesting. You can see the responses. Developing a new business plan. No, we'll continue with hope being a strategy and hope that that works. Or in some case, if we've got a good solid plan, it may not have had to pivot so much. If we don't have a written business plan, I urge you to give it considerable consideration, because that was a redundant word, wasn't it? Give it some extreme consideration, because competitors are going to be out there with new things happening that may get in our way of jumping the shark, if you will, to make things happen. Marketing dollars, interestingly enough, is on the lower end. Creating a new product or service has about 20%. And enhancing new systems and processes internally. Who would like to speak to that? Since that is the majority of what people are doing, who of you people, of the folks that said enhancing new processes and systems, what are you doing? What things are you looking at? Natasha, I can't tell if you're raising your hand or have an opinion. And if you do, please don't hesitate to shout out.
No, I'm just listening. So
okay, all right. We don't want to leave anybody out.
All right, with us, I don't know. This is Judy Elias.
Yes, Judy.
Okay, you know, a big challenge we have is our program requires a journey to the Holy Land. We take people for spiritual healing and peer support. So we are waiting every day to see if Israel is going to be open in August, when our next we have 3 teams traveling August and September. So that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
So, I think the worst case scenario is we go at the end of October, we run 3 teams, and we make up the other 5 teams in 2021. So we're looking at that process right now. So
whole new process. Cindy, did you have something you wanted to say? Thanks for sharing, Judy.
I did. I just wanted to say, so I work for Comerica, and before the pandemic, only our officers had the capability to work from home. And once this hit in a relatively short period of time, everyone got the capability to work from home with the exception of the people in our branches. And right now there are ongoing discussions, since it's been so successful in terms of back office, that leadership didn't really know how it was going to work. So the discussion now is, what is our new work life going to look like? Do we really need people back in the office?
You bet. That talk about a whole new process and systems. I mean, we're talking. Nancy Coleman shared a whole new process they're doing in the legal fashion, and Karen has shared what they're doing, and now you're sharing. Hey, from a banking perspective, wait, this doesn't. That's a whole new system and process, no doubt about it. Anybody else want to share? I have an interesting story that as this all came about, and my clients were applying for the PPP loans, of which many of you may have applied for that, which was certainly a journey in and of itself. It was a kind of a 3 martini journey, if you ask me. It was brutal. That being said, one of the things, one of my clients, a larger client, $60 million client, has an accounting, has what they thought was an accounting department. And as they started to apply for the loans, they realized, being in the service and the parts business for large equipment, they hadn't given much focus to the accounting department. And as they tried to put together the financial things they needed for PPP, they realized they had so many gaps in their accounting department that they have spent the last 2 months, we've worked virtually for 2 months, putting new accounting process, a new accounting system in place with new accounting processes in order to increase productivity and decrease efficiency, because we realized that one invoice was touching 6 hands. Not one person could tell us on a given day what cash flow was, not even the CFO. Because well, look, if there's money in the bank and we're selling, that old adage, sales hides all sins. So we just don't have to worry about, as long as there are dollars in the bank. And that was a real eye-opener for the CEO of this company to say, whoa. And this is a guy who keeps his eye on the beat of where his monies are, and looks at his financials on a regular basis, but didn't realize how much excess work and excess steps it took just to provide those financials. And so that was a really positive outcome for them to say, hey, our entire accounting system and processes is now changed to become more efficient and more productive. And so when you think about your business, what might that look like? What difference might that make in looking at if you will, enhancing those new systems and processes? Again, not just for a customer, but for you internally. How many hours a week are you spending at your job that, if I looked at how I do it, might I be able to do it more efficiently and productively? Who knows? And that's been a real eye-opener. I know for me, it's completely shifted things, because my wife has told me on any given day that I'm out in my office, which is the building in the back, my wife has told me that I must allow time to do the laundry, time to do, this or that. I said, I never had time to do all that before. Why should I have time now? She said, you need to be more productive. You're right here. You're 100 feet from where you can do the laundry. And that's so, well, you never know what systems and processes will change in order to make things work. What do you think, when you think about the systems and process, how many people have people that work with them in their business? They're not just a solopreneur. Yeah. How hard is it to get those other people to shift into these new processes and systems? Has it been pretty easy? You all shook your head. Now don't lie to me. Nancy, has it been pretty easy? Nancy Coleman?
Well, the lawyers that work in my office, it's been seamless for the lawyers because they work remotely, no problem. Our numbers are the same or up as far as productivities. My office manager, not so much. She actually continued to come in the office 8:30 to 5:30 every day. She felt that she had to feel, touch, see the checks when they came in, or someone that needed an invoice that even though we could have set her up remotely, was very reticent to do it, is still reticent about any kind of change as far as that goes. So that will be a process that we're working on. But it turned out that at the end of the day, I think you actually need someone like that who's going to buck up against the grain, because some sense of, if you could say, normalcy for us was a good thing, because all of the people that were working remotely at one time or another during the day did need that support. Like, oh crap, I need this scanned and it's sitting on my desk in the office. And there was always someone here who could help with those, internal things. So it worked out okay, but it was, really kind of a challenge for my partner and I to even get her to work at home at all.
You bet. Maureen, thank you for sharing, Nancy.
Hold on. You can hear me. So I would say the same thing, Nancy, that we found two things. One is that the Zoom opportunity helped us see each other. And I think that was an easier transition than if we were just to go virtually by phone. And secondly, like your team, our accounting team took turns going into the office each day for the very reason that it's harder to work remotely on certain processes, particularly in accounting, and they needed the systems. So they each took turns and went one day a week so that they were by themselves, had the opportunity to be in the office. And so that really worked well for us.
You bet. Yeah, and I think anybody else, don't want to miss anybody. Karen, did you want to say something? You're unmuted.
Actually, we have a small team. We have an admin who's our employee, and she's always preferred working from home. So that hasn't been a big transition for her. And we also, my partner and I both also kind of work remotely very easily. I guess the biggest thing though is kind of making sure the communication is actually amped up and kind of double the communication with those people, because I feel like, I know for myself, the first month I went a little bit into, filing for the PPE and all that kind of stuff was going on. So I feel like I went a little bit into my shell to kind of figure it all out. So I do think that first month we were missing that piece of communicating, because our staff is she's kind of going, okay, is my job still secure? And we never intended to we haven't even cut our hours or anything. So communication is really key. And that's one thing that was missing in the beginning for us.
And I think, thank you for sharing that, Karen, because when I ask about the processes internally, we always have to remember whatever shift we make, whether it be external to a client or internally with our staff or people with whom we work, it affects people. And when it affects people, it affects emotions. And so many of you have said, hey, do I still have a job? And do you still need me? Do you still, hey, I don't touch and feel you every day, or, well, that's a little extreme, but I don't see you every day. Do you still value me? And so I think you hit it right on the head, Karen, in changing processes, changing systems, and looking at the way we do something in leading with our clients outside. We have to remember that people are people, and there's no such thing, I don't know, in my world, as over communicating. When we communicate, if you're communicating the right things for the right reasons, just remember, because it's in our head and we're thinking about it, certainly does not mean that everybody else can read our minds. So especially virtually, I think that's an interesting point that you make is, hey, we've got to set up some kind of a new process to ensure proper communications so that everybody feels valued and is valued for what they do, that we recognize that, no doubt. With that, I want to then I want to put up one last poll question as we wrap up today. And that question is, what's your most effective business management skill, you personally, or characteristic? What is your most effective business management skill or characteristic. Innovation, risk-taking, problem-solving, goal-setting. All of which are critical to being a good leader in business without a crisis, but during a crisis and coming out of this for the next 18 months is going to be critical. What is your key management characteristic or skill? Everybody take a minute to answer. Wow, very interesting. Innovation. Haven't we had to become innovative in our business? Now that we have all new technology, all new ways of communicating, we've got to innovate in order to let our customers, let the world out there know that we are in business. And we've got new ways of doing things, even if they are with the same products. How do we enhance the value of those products by being innovative in our messaging, our marketing, or maybe innovative in changing our products? Risk-taking, only 6% of us said that may be our, Maureen, have a good one. See you later. That may be a trait that we may want to look at as business owners. We've got to have that intestinal fortitude to take a risk and think out of the box, because that's what's going to be the differentiator over the next 18 months. If we continue to do the same things the same way we've always done them, I'm fearful that that won't be the only thing that keeps us going. And so that little bit of risk, and I think that's the value of having Smart Talk for Women, that's the value of the chamber, is that we don't have to take a risk by ourselves. I mean, there isn't anybody on the phone here that I wouldn't feel, at least me, I wouldn't feel comfortable. I would feel very comfortable reaching out to each of you and saying, hey, I'm thinking of this. What are your thoughts? That's part of that risk taking, you know, at least soften the bump when you get there a little bit by getting input. Problem solving. I think that goes along with risk taking. Is that, hey, whatever comes our way, let's go after it. I would urge us to think about the goal setting piece. Problem solving tends to be reactive as a business owner or a business person. Reactive can wear our butt out very quickly. I mean, we're just waiting for that next something to happen. Hey, wait a minute, if we put a plan together, if we set some goals as a management skill, what is it you plan to do in 90 days, for the next 90 days? Honest to Pete, in my business, and I coach my clients the same way, we can only look 90 days because we don't know what's going to happen. But then 120, reaching out, go out and think about, now what, if things do this, that, and the other thing, what will I do? If these are the same constraints, what will I do? And I urge you to think about, while you may be great at problem solving, and we all are good at that, and that's a key leadership skill, we can't spend our time constantly mopping the floor because of a busted pipe or a busted something. We've got to anticipate what those broken pipes may look like, or anticipate that I may need to change the pipe before it gets broken. And that's where goal setting comes in. And I urge us all to kind of take a look at that as a leader, because those really are characteristics that we can continue to develop as we come out of this COVID-19 crisis. With that said, as we wrap up, I would like to thank everybody for joining us for the call. You all, the input, some of you felt more comfortable interacting, some not so much. That's fine. We'll get more and more comfortable with this as you go along, because we learn from each other. The more we can talk to each other, the more we can learn from each other. And I want to thank you all for joining the call today. If you have any questions, need any other information, let's reach out to each other. We're all on the call. If anybody needs each other's emails or contact information, you can get it on the chamber website, because we're all members, and the membership information is right there on the website. Cool beans? That being said, everybody go forth, have a great week, and thanks again for another great Smart Talk for Women. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.